request to be traded, the franchise tags, the disgruntled members of the NFL, the disgruntled players of the NFL. Something going to come out every other week or maybe every week because it's like the biggest soap opera and the best soap opera in history. But first, I'm going to get to the two most important names, in my opinion, in this free agency. One, T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I say one because he's the number one wide receiver. Unfortunate part is the actual number one wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals is trending towards being one of the best to ever play in the NFL. And that dude's name is Ja'Marr Chase. Herein lies the issue. There's not enough money. There's not enough money. And also, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Brown, is cheap, notoriously cheap. This is a situation that he's never been in with this type of talent this early in their careers, with this salary cap at this point in the NFL, where you are going to have to pay wide receivers $40+ million. I played in the league not that long ago where $40 million, if a quarterback got it, it was astronomical. Now wide receivers are getting it. Defensive ends, he got one on his team too, Trey Hendrickson. They getting $30 million. He got some issues, man. So between you didn't pay Ja'Marr Chase last year, T. Higgins is up, and Trey Hendrickson is looking for a new deal. That's three of your four best players. Obviously, Joe Burrow. But let me get the T. Because the business side of football usually pisses people off, but it's smart for organizations to do. What's probably going to happen is they're going to put another franchise tag on T in order to get compensation from another team that wants to come and get T. Higgins to be their number one wide receiver. A few teams, one team that comes to mind is the New England Patriots. Another team that comes to mind is potentially the Washington Commanders. T. Higgins and Terry McLaurin on opposite sides, both making crazy money, playing at a very high level, and we saw with Jaden Daniels what that could actually be. I think they'll be a contender in that situation. But more importantly, it's about the Cincinnati Bengals and what they decide to do. Are you going to be able to pay Ja'Marr $40+ million per year? Are you going to be able to pay T. Higgins $30 million, which he would get on the open market per year? And are you going to be able to pay Trey Hendrickson $30 million, which he can get on the open market as well? For a franchise and an organization that's never been in this situation before. And to be honest, kind of waffling. If it wasn't for that crazy good quarterback and those crazy good wide receivers, Cincinnati may have only won like 4 games. The way that the defense was playing. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, who was the NFL sack leader this year. But it's about to get interesting, man. We're about to see an organization that's never been in this situation. We're about to see a player that's due for his big payday. He's put enough work in. People believe in him. They believe that T. Higgins can be a number one wide receiver, and I believe it too based on what dude has been doing in his career thus far. So if I'm T. Higgins and they franchise me again, here's what my plan of action. I'm not showing up to anything. Don't call me unless it's a contract, or don't call me unless it's a trade that's formidable and a trade that I'm going somewhere where I can get paid and win. Now, I know what you're saying. You just said New England, Swag. How you going to go there and win? It got to be a building block. Got to be a building piece to what they're going to try to do there with Mike Vrabel and McDaniels and trying to come back and coach this football team back to the glory of the New England Patriots, not the 7-6 Super Bowls that Tom won. It's about getting them back formidable, that where they can compete in the AFC East. And look, the Jets, obviously in a trying to figure out what the direction of that's going to be. Newly minted head coach Aaron Glenn. You also got T. Higgins that could potentially become the best wide receiver in the division outside of Tyreek. So it's a lot going on with T. Higgins, man. And I think this offseason is one of those off seasons that's seminal in a player's career where they have to decide, I'm going to get my paper because I got to take care of my family and create this generational wealth. That's the T. Higgins part of it all. The other part was the big letter that was written and the announcement that was made, and y'all know where I'm going. Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. And I don't blame him, not one bit. And I'm sorry, Cleveland Browns fans, but the decisions that have been made by this front office have led you to this, where a generational defensive player has said, I don't feel like I have a chance to ever win here. Because let me tell y'all something right now. In football, you don't do what LeBron James did. You don't leave and then come back and win a championship. Not usually. When you leave, you gone. And Myles Garrett saying, I want to be gone. I know that's a lot. That's a lot for us to take. It was a big rapper dropping just in midnight, middle of the night. New album alert. Myles Garrett was like, yo, I've seen enough. I've seen enough of the decision making from the front office. I've lost. We were in the playoffs. We had to go with Joe Flacco. There's no direction. He asked. Myles asked, to his credit, he asked the front office, what is the plan for us winning? And I don't think he got the answer that he needed, obviously, because he's said he wants out. Now, what teams are going to step up? Are you going to give 2 first-round picks? Are you going to try to turn it into some future picks? Are you going to try to give a first round, a second, and maybe some later round picks? What's going to be the compensation, Washington Commanders? Dan Quinn over there. Dan Quinn with a crazy defensive end has always resulted in that guy having career years. That defense is set up for him. What's up, Detroit Lions? I mean, we know you was looking for an opposite rush in outside of Aiden Hutchinson. And if Aiden get back to being healthy and you got Myles on the other side, that is hell on wheels for any offense that you ever play against. Are the Chiefs going to be sneaky? Are they? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. The way the Chiefs got dominated in the Super Bowl by a defensive line, you don't think GM Brett Veach thinking that? I can see it. The bottom line is 31 teams will line up for Myles Garrett. There's going to be a number of teams that's in play for Myles Garrett, and that's going to be willing to give up what the Cleveland Browns are asking for. Here's the tough part. Cleveland may be asking for way more than normal because they know they botched it on Deshaun Watson. They botched it on trying to put this team together. So now they probably like, man, if we gonna lose Myles and we gonna trade him, we gonna try to make up for what we lost in the Deshaun Watson situation and the bad decisions that were made to before and after. This Myles Garrett thing gonna be interesting, man, because even if you keep him, he walks into training camp super disgruntled. And I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. If you ain't the type of player that Myles Garrett is, don't request this. Especially not publicly. You got to have some stake in the game, and he absolutely does. That's the NFL, man. We're going to continue to watch the Aaron Rodgers thing. I'm sure some teams going to be interested. I wouldn't be interested in Aaron Rodgers. I'd be interested in moving on. I'd be interested in making sure that I'm either bringing along a young guy or I'm not bringing a guy in the locker room in Aaron Rodgers that's polarizing. That situation has went horribly bad with the Jets. You can't supplement an injury. He got injured the first year. I watched that. This year was abysmal. No better than when they had the rookie that was there struggling. So I'm not sure if you a team. Now, I know a couple weeks ago I said on television, I wonder if Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers have a relationship for real. Because in any organization, hypothetically, if you have Aaron Rodgers go to an organization, the coach is going to have to be the central figure. Y'all, the man went to New York. I said this when they fired Robert Saleh from New York. I said they fired the most unimportant man. And it wasn't a shot at Robert Saleh. It was just letting everybody know that when they decided to court Aaron Rodgers in New York, they made every other coach obsolete because they gave him full autonomy. And I don't care what you say. He had full autonomy. He brought in Nathaniel Hackett, who was horrible as the Denver Broncos head coach, that they had to get rid of him ASAP. The offense didn't look good. It was some issues with him and Garrett Wilson. Everybody thought that tandem was going to be phenomenal. They went and got Devontae because they thought that would fix it. And it didn't. The defense regressed, maybe Robert Saleh wasn't the issue. So the question about Aaron Rodgers is, what organization is strong enough for Aaron Rodgers to walk in the building and understand that this is not my team? I have to become a part of this team and garner the respect of the guys around me when it comes to how we play with this team, not your MVPs or what you did in Green Bay or what cachet you have walking into the locker room. Great. All of that is great. We saw the love stories going on in New York. They was going to concerts together and basketball games and couldn't win a damn game. Just as ass as they could be. But it was a honeymoon in the beginning. Aaron Rodgers come with a lot of stuff. So if you're an organization, you better be prepared, and you better know that your head coach is the face of the franchise, especially when it comes to decision making, because he's going to try to get some of his own decisions made. Don't get me started. Randall Cobb the first year with the Jets. You bring in wide receivers that Alan Lazard with the Jets ended up not playing, not contributing in a major way. Devontae came. Devontae cold. Devontae getting ball. Him and Aaron got great rapport. But that ain't do nothing for Devontae. When Devontae was trying to make that decision to go to the Jets, I said, man, you need to steer as far away from that as possible and try to go to the Baltimore Ravens. That's what I said.